Alright, welcome back everyone. As the draft edges closer, I wanted to talk about my favorite team, the Philadelphia Flyers, one last time before the draft comes. The overall status of this team and what they've gone through in the past 2 years has really pissed me off as a fan. And I want to talk about where they go from here, because I think this team has a lot of questions heading into this offseason, and there's a lot of directions where they could really go. It does seem that Flyers fans really are split on the idea of us either going into a rebuild or retool or doing nothing for that matter. So it's really split on what we should do. I'm going to get into all of the aspects for that. So anyways, if you're new to the channel and you're a Flyers fan, make sure to subscribe down below. I would greatly appreciate it. And I won't waste any more of your time. Let's get into the video. So how did we get here? We're going to start off in the 2019-20 season where everything looked all sunshines and rainbows for the Flyers. They played 69 games in the COVID-shortened season, had a 41-21-7 record for 89 points. Their leading scorer was Travis Konechny with 24 goals, 37 assists for 61 points. They beat Montreal on the first round of the bubble playoffs, and then they lost to the Islanders in round 2 in 7 games. And despite losing in 7 games in that second round, everything was looking good. They were 1 win away from the conference finals. And you know what? If this team picked up some more right players in this offseason, maybe they could have a shot at it. But then Matt Niskanen retired. And in my opinion, I still think that's what caused the downfall of the Flyers. And that's why we are where we are now. If we still had Matt Niskanen, I still think we'd be a solid contending team. The Flyers lost some depth in Derek Grant and Nate Thompson. They brought in the most notable free agent, David Gustafsson, who played some seasons with the Blackhawks and the Flames. Things looked promising bringing him in because he had promising stats with the Blackhawks, but it obviously didn't turn out that way. In 2020-21, the 56-game season, they went 25-23-8 for 58 points. They finished 6th in the Metro Division and missed the playoffs. Their leading scorer was Van Riemsdyk with 17 goals, 26 assists for 43 points. You look at that record, wasn't even all too bad, but that season was an embarrassing year. They lost 8-3, 9-0, 6-1, so many times. They were losing against teams that were way below them. They lost to a team that lost like 30 in a row, and then they lost 9-0 and 8-3 to the Rangers. It was just an absolute brutal year when you look inside of those standings. And if you were a fan of my content, then you would know that I literally called out to the Flyers and I said that you need to improve the defense. And that's exactly what they did. They traded for Ryan Ellis, let go of Nolan Patrick and Phil Myers. I thought it was a really good trade for both teams, in fact, because I thought Myers was a very solid young defenseman. Obviously, he's with the Lightning now, but I still thought it was a good trade. We traded for Rasmus Ristolainen for Robert Haig. I didn't like the deal because Haig was kind of really our only defensive defenseman, and we gave up a first-round pick that could have been Isaac Rosen for him. And then we also signed Keith Yandel, but overall, I didn't mind the defensive core. I thought it was a better core than we had last year, and Provorov had a really solid partner in Ryan Ellis. And then everything fell apart. In 2021-2022, they went 25, 46, and 11 for 61 points. Their leading scorer was Travis Konechny with 16 goals, 36 assists for 52 points, and they missed the playoffs yet again, breaking the trend where they would miss, make. There was a ton of factors that played into that season. You lost Claude Giroux at the trade deadline, your captain, the heart and soul of this franchise for almost 20 years. You lost Ryan Ellis for the entire season due to a number of injuries. You lost Sean Couturier, you lost Scott Lofton, you lost Kevin Hayes, you lost Ivan Provorov. There was a lot of injuries. I'm not gonna say they didn't get affected by that, but everybody has injuries. That 100% played a role, and the defense, like Ristolainen and Keith Yandel, just fell apart. And honestly, it's really shitty too, because I don't know where Carter Hart is. I really don't. I don't think anybody knows, because what happens next season will really determine whether or not Carter Hart's going to live up to the potential that he could be in Philadelphia. This is the season where Carter Hart needs to prove himself. And it absolutely sucks too, because I think we'll be bad next season as well. Let's go through everything here and take a look at the entire team as a whole. Starting off on the left wing side, you have Farabee, JVR, Lindblom, Cates, and Ratcliffe. They're in no particular order, I think, to my knowledge, but that's a solid left wing core. I think Farabee's a great first liner. JVR, there's been rumors of him probably getting moved out, and it's likely going to happen. Lindblom, very solid there as well. Solid, probably third line forward at this point. Respect to him through his grind. Jackson Cates looked very solid in his time up there. Notice how there's a lot of younger guys in here and how this team's starting to get a lot younger. And I do like that from that perspective. And then obviously Isaac Ratcliffe as well won't see that much time in the NHL. On the center side of things, it's much better. Sean Couturier, Kevin Hayes, Scott Lofton, Morgan Frost, Nate Thompson, and Patrick Brown. So Couturier, I like Couturier a lot, obviously. Probably our best player now, for being honest. So obviously he's earned that first line spot. Kevin Hayes, I don't like the contract. I think Hayes is still a very good player. I just don't like the contract. Scott Lofton there as well, a very solid, underrated center. He didn't have a good season at all, but he was still very solid. He also missed time with injury, and that plays a role with a lot of these guys. Morgan Frost there as well. Frost, solid young forward, could be a trade piece if we go out and get somebody big this offseason. Then you have Nate Thompson there as well. Very solid, grit center. Maybe he stays, maybe he doesn't. He hasn't been signed to a contract yet. Probably means he's walking. And then Patrick Brown there as well, just a depth forward. On the right wing side there, you have Cam Atkinson, Travis Konechny, Owen Tippett, Bobby Brink, and Zach McEwen. Cam Atkinson, obviously a very prolific goal scorer. With Tortorella coming to town, I know I absolutely flamed Tortorella coming to town, but I think he's definitely going to help out Atkinson. Konechny there as well. I feel like Konechny's kind of like the line aid to Tortorella, and I feel like he can get sent to the depths of hell. And honestly, I don't know what's next for Konechny. I mean, he led this team in goal scoring, but he still hasn't been the Konechny that we wanted. So I'm not entirely too sure what happens for the future of Konechny. Owen Tippett there as well. Tippett, a very solid young forward, came in the Claude Giroux trade. I would expect him to play probably top 6 minutes. Potentially, maybe we filter the lines around. Maybe he can get some top 6 minutes there. And then Bobby Brink there as well, a very solid young rookie who won the Hobey Baker. I think he should definitely stand a chance in the NHL this season. And then Zach McEwen there as well. He still needs to be signed, but I think he's a very solid physical type forward, which is what we need in Philadelphia, if we're being honest. Now you look at the defensive core, which I've been pretty hard on my entire time as a Philadelphia fan. On the lefty side, Ivan Provorov, Travis Sanheim, Cam York, Kevin Kanaan, and Keith Yandel. Provorov, he's only good with a defense with a good partner. There are some defensemen that are like that, but Provorov just isn't the good defenseman that we all know and love if he's not with a really good partner like he was with, I think, actually no, I don't think Gostisbehere was his partner at one point, with Niskanen and Ellis. Ellis, when he was with Provorov for that little point during that season before he got hurt, Provorov was pretty good. So I'm wondering what's going to happen there. And I mean, his first half of the season was not that good at all. His second half wasn't much better, but it was better, I guess. But I don't know what's next for Provorov. I've been very hard on him. I've called him Mr. Turnover. So I've called him a lot of things. Travis Sanheim, I think, is a very solid top 4 defender. Kind of underrated, if we're being honest. Could be a good trade piece if we're looking to get a better defenseman. And then Cam York there as well, a very solid young guy. And then he could also be a trade piece too. I've seen him in rumors. We'll get into those later. Kevin Kanaan probably walks. Keith Yandel probably also walks. Might even retire, if we're being entirely honest here. Onto the right side, you have Ryan Ellis, Rasmus Ristolainen, Ronnie Attard, Nick Seeler, and Wyatt Wiley. So Ellis there, it's getting a little bit worrisome because he hasn't even skated since his injury in 2021. So I'm a little bit worried on Ellis there. I'm worried that we gave up a lot. We didn't even give up all too much, but I'm worried that we gave up a decent amount for him. Then Rasmus Ristolainen there as well. I flamed that contract to shit when it was signed. I'm still going to hate it. But I hope that Ristolainen's probably better next season. That's all we got to hope at this point. We're not moving him, so he's here to stay. Then Ronnie Attard, he was all right during his couple of games there. Nick Seeler, good physical type defender. I'm not sure he will be back. And then Wiley probably won't see the NHL. Now to take a look at the goaltending. And the goaltending I'm a little bit worried about. Carter Hart, Martin Jones, Felix Sandstrom, and then Kirill Ustimenko or Ivan Fedotov, depending on if that guy comes from Russia. I feel bad for the dude, honestly. Carter Hart, I truly don't know. Truthfully, I don't know. I really don't know if Carter Hart has the mental state, the mentality, and just the motivation to play in Philadelphia anymore. Honestly, because Philly fans have hated on him so much. And look, part of it may be his fault. I won't disagree with that. But the defense is absolutely terrible. So you can't even blame it on him all too much. Martin Jones there as well. Kind of had a pretty good season if we look at his stats compared to his stats previously. in those years with San Jose. He actually had a pretty decent season. I doubt he stays, though. Felix Sandstrom there as well. He's probably going to see some time there as well. And then Kirill Ustimenko also there, or Ivan Fedorov, one of the two. They probably won't see the NHL, but that's their fourth string goaltender there. But yeah, I'm worried about the goaltending. Truthfully, I'm worried about this. I'm worried about it. And I honestly don't know how Hart's going to stay mentally coming into next season. I really don't. A look at expiring contracts. There's a lot of them when you look at the minor side of things. I doubt a lot of these guys even get signed, but we'll just go through the ones that are of important note. Nate Thompson, Kevin Connauton, Keith Yandel, Martin Jones, Morgan Frost, Zach McEwen, Owen Tippett, Wade Allison, and Jackson Case. The rest are arguably minor players. I don't think they're that big of a role. I would imagine some of them get signed, some of them walk, whatever. Nate Thompson, I wouldn't mind if he stays. I really wouldn't mind if Thompson stayed with this team. I think he's a solid grid center. I think he could do decent for us. Kevin Connauton, I think he probably walks. The experiment with him, he wasn't all too good. Yandel, he probably walks as well, if we're being honest. I don't think the Flyers really want to keep Yandel around. Martin Jones, I'd love to keep Martin Jones around, but I don't think he wants to stay with Philly, so he probably walks as well, and I hope he gets a better contract somewhere else. Frost, I think Frost is difficult because Frost hasn't seen much NHL time, and when he has, he's been, I don't want to say average, but he hasn't been the best. So I would assume he definitely comes back, but I'm not sure if he gets involved in a trade or something like that. Zach McEwen, physical forward there, a fan favorite. I'd love to see him stay, but I doubt it. Owen Tippett there, give him a chance. Sign him to like a 2-year, $2 million contract. I wouldn't mind that deal at all. I don't think it'd be a good deal. Wade Allison there. Allison, he saw some time last season. I don't think he saw all too much time this year, but he played solid, so bring him back. And then Jackson Cates there as well, a solid free agent pickup. I think that'd be a good one too. So now we take a look at the most hefty contracts. What are the most hefty contracts on the Flyers as of right now? Well, Kevin Hayes owns the biggest one with 4 years, $7.1 million. He will be on this team until 2026. Yeah. Okay, so you notice how I said earlier, I don't mind Hayes. I don't mind Hayes at all. I think he's a great player. Is he worth $7.1 mil? Hell no. He is not worth $7.1 mil at all. He's probably worth at most $4 million. I think he's a very good forward, but I don't think he's worth all too much. And then I'll say it here as well, rest in peace, Jimmy Hayes. James Van Riemsdyk, he has 1 year left on that contract with $7 million. If you're going to deal that contract, and I know teams have called in, the Kraken look to be interested as well, you're likely going to have to retain some of that. If we're being honest, I think that's probably in the realm of possibility there. I wouldn't mind seeing Van Riemsdyk move. It would free up a lot of cap space for us, but truthfully, I'm not sure if he gets moved due to that contract. And then Rasmus Stalainen, he's here to stay. That contract is hot garbage. I'm sorry. Whether or not you like Ristolainen, that contract is terrible for what he does. He was an absolute pylon this season, so I don't like it at all. I truthfully don't like that contract at all. And that's just the three biggest ones that are like of note. Couturier obviously has the biggest contract, but he's actually playing to his money. I don't think these guys are. Although you could say Kevin Hayes, and all these guys did face injuries. And I know I've gone back to that factor a couple times. All these guys have faced injuries, I will say that, but I still don't like it. Moving on to the draft situation, they have the 5th overall pick this year, so they have a couple of options, depending on who drops to them. They have Matthew Savoie, Connor Geekie, Simone Nemec, and Cutter Gauthier. I've done prospect previews for all of those, except for the first 2, but those are coming in the coming days. So, Matthew Savoie, I think, is a very solid forward. It'd be good to get him. Geekie as well. I think you would want to go for a defenseman, though. No disrespect to Gauthier either, but I think Nemec, if he drops to 5, I think Seattle probably takes a shot at Nemec first. If then, you're probably going to take a look at Juracek. Maybe Nemec goes 3rd, because I've seen rumors of that as well, but I think that if Nemec drops to 5th, the Flyers should 100% jump on him. I don't think he drops to 5th. I think he probably goes 4th or maybe even 3rd, but I think if he drops to 5th, they should go for him. But even then, David Juracek's a very solid young defenseman. And he may take some. He's probably more NHL ready than Nemec himself. So maybe that is a good move if the Flyers want to get good right away. And speaking of that, we're gonna wrap up this video with what happens next. Is it gonna be a retool or is it gonna be a rebuild? Personally, I don't think the Flyers should try and go through a retool. I honestly think that with the bad things this team has had, I think honestly, maybe a rebuild is the best direction. But that's the thing, though. The confusing thing is that we're a team that could probably win that. But knowing Chuck Fletcher and knowing Philadelphia sports as a whole, if we try and go through a retool, we're not going to do it right. We're not going to do it right. We're going to screw ourselves over, and then we're going to be even worse than we are right now. And I honestly, we have a ton of young players. Joel Farabee, Travis Konechny, I said Clayton Keller because I'm a Coyotes fan too. Carter Hart. They have a ton of young players there. But the thing is that I don't know if, all these guys are going to hold up, and these hefty contracts that they're signing, Ristolainen, Van Riemsdyk, these guys are going to be around for a while. So it's a little bit worrisome on what's gonna happen. And honestly, I would love to see a retool, and I hope it goes right. But I don't trust Chuck. Generally, I don't trust Chuck Fletcher to make the right moves to get us to a cup contending team, or maybe not even a cup contending team, a playoff team. But I don't trust him. I don't, and he goes above that too. I don't trust Comcast. I don't trust the owners. Those guys have been around for a long time, and this team hasn't had success since they've been here. I think maybe it's time you make a change up there. Maybe. I mean, something drastic would have to happen for them to leave, but I don't know. This team is just. It's going in a concerning direction. I honestly don't know how I feel about it. But anyways, guys, that'll do it for me. Thank you all very much for watching For Sports Late. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. Philly fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And anyways, that'll do it for me. I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.